So before we start our study today, August 1st, 2025, on the topic on the book Might of the Thoughts, we listen first and utter the words from ikapitong makadiwang pagtuturo sa panalangin ni Nicodemion, isang pakikiugnayan sa sarili nilikha ng huling Henok. Sa pamamagitan ng kalakasan ng aking kamalayan, sa aking katalinuhan at sa aking pangangatwiran, ginagamit ko ng buong lakas, sa aking kaalaman, kapantasan, sa aking kakayahan, sa aking pag-ibig at katotohanan. Tanging ang kalakasan ko lamang ang lumaganap sa akin, gayunpaman walang ibang lakas. Palagi ang sanang maging mulat ako sa aking sariling mga kaisipan at damdamin at inilalahat ko't ginagamit ang aking kaalaman, aking karunungan at ang aking kakayahan. At dito ko aakay ng lahat sa totoong pag-ibig, kalayaan, pagkakaisa at sa kapayapaan mula sa aking sarili. Ang kapangyarihan ng aking kamalayan ay hindi lingid sa akin, kaya ginagamit ko ito sa aking sariling kagalingan para sa aking kaisipan at damdamin, ang aking kalooban, gayon din sa aking pangangatawan. Sa araw-araw ay ilahad sa akin ang paggamit ng lakas ng kamalayan upang ito ay patuloy na gumana sa akin at hayaan akong harapin ang mga bagay na hindi ko pa natututunan, kung saan pinangangalagaan ko ang aking karunungan at ang aking kapantasan sa pagmamahal, pagsalat para sa iba, pati na rin sa pag-unawa at katwiran. Sa pamamagitan ng kalakasan ng aking kamalayan, kinikilala ko ang aking pagkakamalit na lulutas ito at naiiwasan pang gumawang muli. Kaya't walang ano pa mang mga pagkakamali at ang makahadlang sa aking pag-unlad at pagsulong. Ang kapangyarihan ng aking kamalayan ay kayang kilalanin at iwasan ang mga maling aral, maling paraan ng pag-iisip at mga panganib mula sa pagkakandili sa isang paniniwala, pati na rin ang mapanganib na material at makamundong bagay. Sa pamagitan ng kalakasan ng aking kamalayan, ako mismo ay may hawak ng aking sariling katalinuhan at pangangatwiran, at sa pamagitan ng buong lakas ng aking kamalayan sa lahat ng oras ay palagi ang mulat sa aking kapangyarihan, sa aking kakayahan, sa aking kapayapaan at karunungan, pati na rin ang aking kapantasan, pag-ibig at pagkakasundo na aking pinanghahawakan. Namumuhay ako sa pag-ibig, love. Namumuhay ako sa kapayapaan, peace. Namumuhay ako sa kalayaan, freedom. Namumuhay ako sa pagkakasundo-sundo, harmony. Namumuhay ako sa kagaanan, balance. Namumuhay ako sa kalusugan, healthy living. At namumuhay ako sa kagalakan, blessed. And so be it.
All right, take away, David.
All righty then. August 2025 presentation from Might of the Thoughts, pages 306 through 322. Now, I'm starting this as per the suggestion from last month when we wanted to go through the 10 points at the beginning before I went into the rest of it. So we'll go ahead with this. And as always, anytime anybody has a question or wants to just stop and expand on something or anything, just feel free to say, hey, hold on. Okay, here we go. In order to be able to rely on one's own self, it must first be cultivated in neutral, positive, equalized form, or at least to the extent that it complies in large part with the innermost creational nature. Number 2, once the inner nature, the self, is cultivated, this state must become conscious, whereby a high regard for one's own self emerges. Number 3, one's personal imagination of a higher evolution than that which is currently the case must always be tended and nurtured, because one's striving towards that which is higher is spurred on thereby. Number 4, An affirmation for the purpose of higher development of the personality is as necessary as the affirming of the life itself. Number 5, dissatisfaction must never appear because it moves one to be inactive and to do things which are devolutive and destructive. Dissatisfaction additionally creates unease and thereby leads to the restlessness and inconstancy. Number 6, since the human beings cannot flee from themselves, it is absolutely necessary and important that they develop themselves and organize themselves for progress towards that which is higher. They are only thereby able to realistically live with themselves in love, peace, joy, freedom, and harmony. Number 7, if human beings love themselves appropriately, righteously, and evolutively, then they are also able to respect themselves and their ideals, as well as their deeds, words, thoughts, feelings, actions, and so forth. Number 8, if the human being consciously steers their life according to their innermost creational nature, they also love and respect its results, which are expressed through the inner self and through the actual personality. Number 9, in order to be great in consciousness as well as in one's ideals, thoughts and feelings, and in one's psyche, the human being must never be submissive. Rather, they must be great in their inner nature, the actual self. And finally, number 10, friendliness, which is exercised, and the spreading of love, peace, freedom, and harmony lead to progress and success, and indeed both with oneself as well as with other human beings. Any comments or questions?
May I, before you proceed, David,
Sure, go ahead.
may I bring your attention to item 5, where the word devolutive was written. I wish this is clear enough to mean that we are not stepping backwards, but rather we are not moving forward, but most likely something is holding on to it, so we cannot evolve further. These whole items are talking about progress and nothing about going backwards. We call it backsliding, if you want to call it that way. So I hope this is clear enough for all, because this is how I wish it is going to be understood. It is how I should understand it. I hope you join me in this.
Yeah. Well, devolutive is means exactly that. Backsliding is another term that could be used for that as well. But dissatisfaction is something that will get in the way. Obviously, it'll trip you up. That's why when we run into that, we have to sort of use our tools in order to steer out of that stuff and stay on a neutral, positive, equalized path. Right, page 310, section 22. Okay, thanks. The human being must consider it their duty to enjoy the abundance of their lives, if it is a kind of life which is righteous and evolutive. However, each human being must create this abundance themselves. Thus, everyone must contribute their own part to that in order to be provided for in the best way. But in order to achieve the abundance of the provision, the creation and maintenance of a neutral, positive, equalized attitude is necessary. Consequently, it must never be forgotten that a gloomy attitude constantly chases away the abundance and the prosperity. Abundance and prosperity do not like any human beings who are of a grim and inhospitable and otherwise destructive kind. Therefore, prosperity and abundance do not arise where the human being's consciousness is full of shades of doubt and hate, unfairness and criminal, terrible things, and so forth. There one only finds results which are always doubtful, which as a rule are also only purely materially conditioned. And they contain no values pertaining to ideals, nor do they contain evolutive values. First and foremost, prosperity and abundance are consciously conditioned, and therefore they are conditioned by one's attitude and express the values of one's inner nature, of one's inner self. And prosperity and abundance only secondarily relate to the value of that which is purely material. Therefore, one must firstly bear in mind and develop the inner values, which must be constantly practiced under the conviction that the law of provision is actually effective, works correctly, and also brings results. One must have deeply rooted inside oneself the vital conviction by means of which everything which is conceived of and collected in terms of ideals for prosperity and abundance is realized. All the mentally nurtured conviction is the actual might of the thoughts, which then allows everything to become reality and to become actual. This might of the thoughts is an enormously valuable energy, which is unfortunately also used by many human beings for extremely negative and negating unvalues, but which, with the correct use, is transformed into neutral, positive, equalized powers, so that it is no longer wasted through worry and grief, wrong striving and efforts, as well as negative attitudes and actions and so forth. The human beings must achieve all their daily thought, feeling-based, as well as material work-based efforts, certain in their consciousness that everything which they undertake always works for them and carries out that which they have acquired as ideals. In this form, the human being becomes creative and constructive, and from that, there arise in them new and unimagined, fantastic and exciting things, which constantly form life anew.
David,
It must be,
before
excuse
you
me.
start the 312, in reality, it's really hard to be optimistic. Can you give me like a sample or something like a good advice? How can we work out? Because honestly, generally in the populations, being pessimistic is the one that it's dominant on this world. So how can we work out of being pessimistic?
You're completely correct on that one. This day and age, we are bombarded from every corner with negativity, with violence, with all of the bad unvalues. And that's where it isn't easy. It isn't easy. But that's why they talk about neutral, positive, equalized powers, trying to utilize those in our life. Because if we're not careful, we can allow all of this negativity to get to us. And I guarantee you, I occasionally fall prey to it myself.
It's really hard in reality.
You got it right. You got it
any
right.
idea how can we like work it out? little by little, step by step,
Well,
just in case.
one of the tools that I use, and it doesn't work all the time. Occasionally, some of this stuff comes at you like a tsunami. I mean, Trump and all this crazy, the whole planet is just going out absolutely crazy. But what I try to do is realize that that's not me. Okay, that is not me. I am separate from that. Although in the big picture of things, perhaps I am a tiny piece of that, but I don't have to let that steer my life. I don't have to let that affect me to a point where I just walk around with a little cloud over my head and rain falling down all the time. It's something that we have to constantly be aware of. We have to watch out for it. Just like if we're on the highway and we're driving, we have to watch out for other people. And so we have to watch out for these negative inputs, these negative things that are around us at all times, and try our best not to let it soak in, to sort of just do our best to let it just sort of roll over us and notice it for what it is. Notice it for acknowledge it, but we don't have to own it. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. We can acknowledge that it's a reality, but it doesn't have to be our reality. Okay. And Renz, I think Renz had his hand up first. Can he go
Yes.
first?
Oh,
Very well.
yeah.
Okay, thank you, David. Well, that's absolutely true. And then I agree with that. We need to see everything which is in neutral perspective, and try not to soak yourself into those pessimistic or negative things happening in this world, which is it's hard, especially if you live in overpopulated country or in America or whatever, or you're busy in your lifestyle, or you've been indulged into much politics, etc. Some people, even in the Figo community, they just, in on social media, they just remove themselves in social media because it's too much for them. They want to, cancel. That's the easiest way. You should avoid it, to be honest. If you want to, just avoid it, but at least you're aware of what's going on. Stop consuming it, because the more you consume things like negative things in social media or media, whatever it is, the more your consciousness or your unconsciousness triggers a lot of things, because your thoughts, if we understand how thoughts works, they're just like a weeds, that spread out and destroy everything, even your inner peace, etc., etc. That's why it's good to have a little bit of meditation, like removing all the weeds, stuff like this. Stay away a bit and then come back, stay away and come back. But if you cannot totally avoid it, stay away from it. Just focus on what is positive for you, and what is important for you. Because the things that's what's happening in this world is too much to handle for the psyche of the human being. you know I always imagine Billy, how he see everything what's happened to this world, although he traveled from past and to the future. He saw everything, the worst, the worst things that's going to happen in this world. Sometimes even he's so evolved, sometimes he lost his balance, but he came back, but he understands everything in bigger perspective. But that's why it's very important to really study the spiritual teaching, the creational teaching, rather, and try to live with it. Yeah. Well, the simple answer for me is just avoid it if you cannot handle that. I'm done.
I think next is Kuya Reynaldo.
Hello.
He's muted. Hello, Kuya June, Rinaldo.
Sige, coming now. I would like to support what you just said. Avoiding is another possibility. In the same way that CR 361, which I recently shared, is talking about a 1947 document from Spot addressed to Billy, telling him of all the things that are going to be that are bad going. I'm sorry, all the bad things going his way, and it's a long thing. It's a long talk. Uh, but then again, right after Bata, Tao was even suggesting again that the 1948 article be presented just the same. And Billy said, no, 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 I don't want to hear about it again. So that's one manifestation that even Billy is suggesting that we could avoid certain things. Uh, and that's how he did it. But in the 1947, he allowed it to be discussed, and all the negatives are there, which may or may not have affected Billy. But then again, uh, he was instructed not to share all of it initially. But now that was 361 was the time to divulge all of it for probably our own consumption. So example wise, Bailey avoided certain things, even if it was to him that it was addressed, 1948. So to answer the question how, he followed what Renz is saying, he avoided it. But in my case, uh, I would wish the might of the thought could be taken advantage of, the positive swinging waves coming from each one of us, and the sharing of our positive vibes, so that things that may have been told as prophecies will not come about. Uh, I guess that's the only way we can actively participate on. Send a piece of the might of our thought for the betterment of the situation. We know that there are these things happening up around us. We don't like it. It's affecting our innermost. So when we follow the neutral positive suggestion, we it's not that we are avoiding it, but we are saying, okay, it's happening, it's there. Then again, the next thing to do is, okay, guys, whoever you are, I'm sending my positive vibes. May you find your peace so that everything around me will be at peace soon enough. Thank you, guys.
Can I?
Thank you sa mga response. Although it is really, really hard, even though I try myself, I'm not watching news because before it's always like negative news that come out first. Still, wherever you look, like even to your cell phone, listening to a friends or something, I said to myself, everything in this world is like it's really hard in actual reality. Even though you guys try to do it on yourself, it's hard.
Yeah, it is that. I guarantee you. Like I said, I get tripped up by it every now and then, you know. I try the best I can to just sort of look at it with a detached sort of a viewpoint. Sort of like standing off looking at someone in a madhouse, and watching them do all this crazy stuff. The thing that gets to me sometimes is that I realize that the inmates are in charge of the asylum, and it's they have some very dangerous toys, that could affect all of us. But at the same time, I have to remind myself that I am a part of a much larger and much more important thing than this planetary craziness that's going on. I am a part piece of creation. And as such, I am immortal. And so there's a lot of the ordinary anxiety and fear that would go along with all of this craziness that's going on that doesn't affect me, because I realize that no matter what happens, I will carry on, and I might not carry on in this form, but I will definitely carry on. So, I mean, that takes a lot of the stress and worry off of me. It doesn't change much outside, but inside it does make a difference. So, Helen, you.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, my point is, we are in the modern world that studying the creational teachings is as if it's just for me, as if that we are a part of it, be it in the worst time of our society or in the good times. So if it is on the bad times, at least we are aware of it. We should know. But for me, I do not ignore it. I do not avoid it. Just see it, what's going on, and then spread the best you can from your swinging waves, from your thoughts. Be kind. Be kind, and the neutral positive should be spread from your thoughts, and that is very important, that I learned from these teachings, the neutral positive. So you don't side, although you know already what's going on, that there is negative. Uh, uh, if you will really be honest to yourself, there is a negative thoughts on one side, and I tried not to side. I tried not to agree with that negative side of it, but be kind and spread to that person or that group of person. If you think they are wrong, I just spread the kindness, that they should be enlightened, and yeah, that's all. But I do not avoid, really. I'm thinking that I am a part of it also, although they do not know me, and I don't know them really personally, and what's going on in the world is as if we don't care. Who are they? But I'm thinking that I'm a part of that big picture. I am connected to what is going on around. That's all. Thank you.
Helen. Ronaldo, you want to say
Is it my
something?
turn? Yes, yes. This is in answer or a reaction to what David said about the prisoners getting in charge of the prison. I want to bring to your attention that Earth is a prison planet for some extraterrestrials initially. They were brought here, castrated from where they were from, and as it is, they are supposed to learn here. And it's a good thing we come across whatever Billy and the other noble friends of him to get to know more about the creational teaching. And to me, the biggest activity that an individual is to focus on is for him or herself only. Uh, the thing to concern with others is a bonus. I'm not saying it cannot be done. I'm saying priority should be towards ourselves. So in answer to Source's question, what can we do? In my case, the best pill that I normally take is to recite as often as I need the Emmanuel's version of the spirit, the prayer for our consciousness. If you feel like referring to other versions of Nicodemus' prayer, which is exactly the source of Emmanuel's prayer, you're free to do so. But the main point there is the focus is nowhere else except ourselves. And if we can win over ourselves, we can consider to have um, we won the battle. Maybe not the total war, but some battles are won already. Thank you.
Thanks, Ronaldo. Shall I continue?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Page 312. It must be heeded that the law of provision actually only functions for those human beings who live according to it. It is clear that it can be doubted by this or that human being, yet only because there is no understanding of the principle, which is based on the fact that prosperity and abundance are, first and foremost, of an inner nature and are expressed in joy, love, peace, freedom, and harmony. And then only secondly as material wealth and so forth. Only the human being who lives according to the real law of provision in this regard, therefore, also gains inner values, which are very much more important and valuable than the purely material values. But the human being who lives according to purely worldly laws and is perhaps still dishonest and the like, accumulates solely material wealth, but with which they cannot evolve and achieve higher things in regard to the development of the consciousness and personality and so forth. Rather, in this regard, they remain poor and underdeveloped. Therefore, it does not pay to have solely material wealth. That is to say, prosperity through which those who are unrighteous and dishonest and so forth can certainly be affluent in terms of material wealth. However, in regard to the real life, they are poorer than beggars of a purely material nature. This is a creational natural law, which unfortunately is not understood by many human beings, for which reason so many are aggrieved that some who have collected material wealth in a dishonest and unrighteous kind and wise debauch in it, while they, the others, have to earn every cent with strenuous hard work, laboriously and bathed in sweat. But one should feel sorry for whoever thinks this way, because their manner of thinking is wrong and does not agree with the actual law of provision, which is first and foremost directed towards inner prosperity and inner abundance. The terrestrial world, as well as Ronaldo?
Yes, thank you, David. You're up and about. Huh? You can see the raised hands immediately. I like it. Anyway, following up with the statement that this is a prison planet, so we can assume, for sake of the argument, that there was an original set of extraterrestrials that came here. So you may probably ask, for so long a time, they have not evolved as much. And if they are that wise already, how come the most intelligent people around, members of the so-called deep state, are preoccupying themselves with material wealth and not spiritual wealth? I say that the the visitors to this planet, which is already 10 billion in number, I mean, the population, which is already 10 billion in number, may be composed of so many struggling spirits or creational energy forms coming from somewhere and trying to find their place here, because it is in here that they will be able to challenge themselves. So to say that those that came already should be wise enough already may eliminate the possibility that there were no additions. But I would like to speculate that for the volume of population now, there should be visitors without us wanting them and without us wishing them to be here, but they are here, uh, trying to fend their own ways also. So don't be surprised that the deep state is trying to fill up their coffers still, despite having practically all the wealth of the world, of this earth. So they may not have reached that point, but they have realized that it is not the material wealth that they should preoccupy themselves with. Thank you.
Thanks, Ronaldo. The terrestrial world, as well as all other planets, all suns, and the whole universe, has been created by the creation, by the universal might, by the universal consciousness, and in fact, extremely generously, and in such a way that the human being can, at their own discretion, build up for themselves an innate will, if only they enable themselves to do that. Creation, the universal consciousness, which has no similarity at all to a God, rather which consists of the purest spiritual energy, demands nothing of the human being. Rather, it gives him or her, by means of the part piece of creation spirit, which works in the human being as the innermost enlivening form, impulses of various kinds, which the human being can follow and realize or not at their own choosing, according to their self-created will. Yet creation, the universal consciousness, has made the world and the entire universe such that there is always enough of everything there for all life forms, and that they can nourish themselves and can live regardless of whether the creational natural laws are followed or not. Yet the more they are followed, the more peaceful, joyful, loving, free, harmonious life becomes. Consequently, the human being, therefore, only needs to live and evolve according to these laws and recommendations, so that they achieve the entirety of creational natural values. The creational natural laws determine the procedures according to which the human being should be able to make real through the might of their thoughts. There is no trick which could be used for that, because everything is an open matter. which is equally accessible to each human being and which they can make useful for themselves. Renz?
Oh yeah, thank you. Now I just want you to finish if you're finished, the sentence. Sorry.
Yeah, I finished it up.
Okay, yeah, good. This is really important page or number because we need to reprogram ourselves or maybe the world, slowly because we are so programmed with religious belief like there's God, that really provides for everything and it for everything, there's a God that watches overseer us, which is does need to be deprogrammed or removed from our consciousness because the creational laws is very important. If we know how to live the creational laws and how it works, the more peaceful the country, the world, and more harmonious. And the the minute that human beings realize that there's no God, all right, they will take responsibility and accountability for themselves, and that's why we will avoid such crazy wars or crazy things, right? Like those, like for example, if there's no God, there's no heaven, there's no hell, right? We will not really bomb our neighbors because our God is not better than your God or something, etc., etc. So if we're gonna understand this creational law, if they will teach this at school, right, to our children, I think the world will change rapidly. But unfortunately, we're still controlled by heavily uh, conditioned with religious or political views. That's why our progress is slowly. Yeah, it's just so sad, but it's happening. It's happening. There's always a light in the tunnel. Yeah, that's what I want to say. Sorry.
Thanks, Renz.
Reaction, Renz, if I may, David, sorry. When will the next, what's the term? The next stage for the age of Aquarius to set for
2029?
that? Okay, when will belief be starting to diminish? Another 100 plus years, 144 or something?
No, it's
Is
about
that
255 years, I
how
think.
much?
But don't
Anyway,
because it's every galactic science tells about 255,000 years, I think. I need to review, but something around like that.
it cannot be over 1,000 rents. The zodiac sign will change after a few uh, years, probably, or months. I'm not sure now. Months. So I am assuming or I am expecting that the change will come soon. And if the change will be available to realize that belief has to be changed, take it to
Yeah.
get out of the
Sorry.
of pieces,
Sorry,
uh,
it
uh,
always lasts 2,155 years. So because every zodiac signs it pass to galactic sun every 25,868 years. Earth years, sorry. 25,860 Earth years. That's why we'll be finishing the age of Aquarius by 3,999.
okay. So is that the 800 years that we're talking about?
No, it's not really
Not yet.
but we will pass that because the 2029 is like the full pace of
The
the
other
Aquarius.
stage. The other stage. From the
Yeah.
initial to something greater.
Yeah,
Anyway, I believe,
1844 is the start. Sorry.
yes. So, okay. So, up to 2029. So, from 2029 onwards, hindi na yun introductory. Meron nang dapat mangyari riyan. Let's start. I mean, something concrete may be felt. So yung concern mo that everybody hopefully will realize that there is no God that we can depend on, no gurus, no teachers, no leaders, but only ourselves to count on, is a big challenge in terms of change. But it will happen as promised by the age of the Aquarius.
Yeah.
Or I am hoping that it is so. I'm not sure. I have no basis to say it is really so. I'm hoping it is so. That's all.
Yeah. Just a side note, the age of Aquarius will finish in 3099, right? And then remember in the contact report, the Pleiadian or the people will come here, and then the great exodus. They're gonna get those people they're gonna get those people on Earth and then travel scattered everywhere to the universe. Those people that really evolved, that will not going to happen anymore. So that's not going to happen according to uh Michael when I went to Swisher. So no one will pick it up here on 3099. So the great exodus will not happen. So we need to do it our own now. And then just I think there's will be arrangement by Arahat at Tersata, because that's not going to happen anymore. So if we're thinking someone will come here and pick it up on 3999, no, it's not going to happen. Sorry.
Are you referring to Michael Voigtlander?
Yeah, that's according to Billy. That's what he told them
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
after the age of Aquarius. Sorry,
Or-
David, continue.
It therefore has nothing to do with tricks, and tricks absolutely do not work at all in regard to the use of the creational natural laws. Because in accord with these laws, everything is directed towards an inner evolution, towards inner prosperity and inner abundance. And so many human beings on earth take no account of just this fact, because their only wish and their only desire is directed at purely material wealth. Yet precisely this is not how the human being's real creationally and evolutively directed life and behavior functions. Because as a rule, wishes, yearnings, and desires for material goods interrupt or prevent the connection to the consciousness-based and creation-aligned world and development. Indeed, with the correct evolutive creational following of the laws, the handling and execution of the creational natural principles of provision, prosperity, and abundance also leads with corresponding efforts to the considerable amassing of material wealth. Yet this is then managed, increased, and used in a form which is appropriate and precisely thought out so that the creational laws are fulfilled. Friends?
Thank you, David. That's true. I totally agree. Because the monetary system, right, in this world exists. And then we measure the wealth and prosperity based on your network, etc., with your money. But try to remember that money is also a belief that invented by human being to control. That's why those things will be abolished eventually. But the thing is, human beings are so materialistic, and we know that's really, really hamper or delayed our evolution because of that monetary based system, and then we need to work, we need to etc., etc., to earn money. Even us, like we're studying the teaching, but we had the bills to pay, correct? We had some bills to pay. We need to do this, and we use money for form of exchange. If those will be gone, which is it won't. Hopefully it will, if the collapse will arrive, but be, as long as we don't solve the root cause of it, and we don't understand that the universe provides everything that what we need: air, water, food, etc., etc., and all that thing is we don't need, because it's just an belief, that belief of status, belief of this. If you have this, you'll be happy. If you had a brand new car or brand new house, etc., you'll be happy. That's kind of belief, etc. etc. It's all everything is in a belief, in a system of belief that really drag us down to be true human being. That's why Buddhists always says that they are rich, but they are poor like a beggar. If you're poor in consciousness evolution. Yeah. Yeah, that's it. Thanks, David.
But if this is not the case, and if the human being deviates from the creational principle, then the danger inevitably arises that the basic control and progress, as well as all good, positive values and real humanness, are lost. The creational law of prosperity, abundance, and provision is directed such that every life form, and therefore also the human being, has everything in plentiful abundance in order to be able to live and to evolve without having to live in want. But that does not mean that as a result of their wrong thinking, the human being should greedily and stingily pile up immense material wealth, while others starve in misery and affliction and lose their lives. Therefore, this wealth does not mean that those material values by means of which the human being can simply live decently and without financial worry and so forth. Rather, it means that wealth which extends far beyond that and reaches heights which exceed by 100-fold, 1,000-fold, or 10,000-fold, or even more than that, which is really necessary to guarantee a joyous life which is free of care. Such wealth piled up by the individual is unrightful. If works are not done with it and things created which also serve the common good, such as the creation of progressive things and jobs, or help every other regard in the furtherance of the human being, as well as works addressing health and rehabilitation and so forth, and also the payment of employees and very many other things. And on the whole, the rich of this world do not use their wealth also in this form, for which reason it should certainly not be begrudged them and should not be viewed or reviled as unrightful. It is different with wealth gained through unright, for example, as a result of some sort of criminal activity and so forth, and whereby this wealth is stingily and greedily hoarded in order to be further used in an unrightful manner, such as for further criminal actions and profit-making acts of war, the spreading of machinations which enslave the human being, as well as the physical and psychical and physical harm and material exploitation of the human being, and so on and so forth. It is therefore, Ronaldo?
Yes, thank you, David. I think this is the most opportune time that I do my marketing campaign. I would like to draw your attention, if you haven't, on a poem that I composed talking about my success of having, I titled it, Oo, lahat ng aking pangangailangan ay abot kamay ko na. Everything that I need is within my reach. It's now with Malaya. It is now also covered by a audio format. if you haven't, this is very relevant in the topic that we're having right now. Realizing belief, realizing that you have the capacity, you have the might of your thought, you have meditation and everything and everything. If you haven't, please give it a try. I have made my conclusion, and I hope in the end of my poem, I said, sana kayo rin. And I'm doing it right now. Sana kayo rin. It's up to you. If you don't feel like, it's all right. I don't care actually, because it's not me that is going to be affected, but you yourselves. And if someone is good enough to bring it up here, the audio format for everybody to hear, given the permission of David, I would think it will make a good dent. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Renz?
Yes, I
By
had
the
some
way,
questions.
it is also part of it is also translated into English. So don't despair.
Yeah, and if you can find it, good. It's good if you can share it. But yeah, I had the questions on this, on the sentence that you read. Is it, the compound interest, is it really a bad thing, because creation of wealth, right? Rich create wealth because of compounding interest, uh the money works for them. And then I think for me, although I had a discussion with this with other people, uh a lot of people or rich people, right, they use compounding interest as like a loss of universe, but it's not a loss of universe. It's like invented by bugasis, by the elite, just to make their money, earn more money, because they had that kind of money. It's like a belief. So for me, it's an unnatural thing. It need to be banned. It need to be banned, so that we don't have inflation, we don't have interest, etc., etc. If we're going to ban the compounding interest in this world, because I know Hitler wants to ban that compounding interest, but it never happened because too much greedy people in the world. Yeah. Although, most of our investment, it's still bound by compounding interest. That's my questions, right? I don't know how you take it. Maybe for some of you has pensions or are their accountant, you know how it works. I don't know. But for me, in my view, compounding interest is a natural thing. It's like cancer to the society.
Well,
That's my view.
the Muslims look at compound interest or interest payments as a whole as usury, and it's considered a sin.
Yeah.
That's
Maybe it's
why
the same thing.
Muslim banks don't charge any interest for their
Yeah.
loans. So there's that. I look at it the same way too. I mean, you look at these things like, for instance, student loans. Oh my goodness, I've got a son who's he's going to be 55 in January. I mean, in December, and he's still paying on his student loan from the 80s.
Yeah.
You know what?
That's criminal, right?
No, that's usury. That's what it is. It's just straight up usury. It's predatory lending, solely for the sake of sucking the life out of the
Yeah.
borrower.
And
You
elite
know?
are taking advantage of it, Oh.
Yeah. I had a credit card and I figured if I paid the minimum amount, I figured it out, I would be 98 years old before I got the 5,000 that was on the credit card paid off. 98 years old.
Yeah.
That's just
That's how
what
crazy. Then,
in
Michael B sent me an article about a book about compounding interest. It's really amazing. There's a lot of people also that wants to abolish that law in economics, the compounding interest, because it's really inhumane. That's why a lot of people dispossess their wealth and everything because of that kind of law, the compounding interest. It should not be existed in this world. But yeah, too much greediness.
I would venture that compound interest is one of the major contributors to homelessness.
Yeah, homelessness and everything.
People unable to pay their mortgages because of the outrageous rates and stuff.
Mm.
But of course, that's just
Anyway,
one
Kuya
opinion.
Reynaldo raised his hands again, I think.
Yeah.
Yes, relative to your topic, friends, and David, take it from me. I looked into it. I am into that academic training. But what is more glaring is that what was written in supposed to be the holy books remains to be so until now, which is the sin in the square yard in front of the synagogue. Is that what or the temple or whatever you want to call it, where Jesus toppled the table of the usurers and the merchants. It's all because of usury. It's all because of taking advantage of the needy. They want to get all the money that they can get. But you know where it started? It started with the exchange system. So you need something from me, pay it. If you pay in money, you have to put a premium to your money so that you can get what I have. And you know, to compound it all, it is true even in the United States up to this point. The Federal Reserve works on interest. Any loan taken by the government from the federal treasury, irrespective of the intention, once they printed the bills, there is interest in it that the government has to pay for. If that is so, how can you not expect that anything downstream will also charge interest? Uh, and the better thing to realize is the moment you cannot make good with your debt, they even put interest on the interest. That's why you call it compounding. You double up. Not double up. You charge interest over the interest. And Jesus or Emmanuel was right. It has to be toppled. But it is already 2,000 years ago or more. But it is still uh, going on. I don't know if you have applied for a credit card lately. I applied for one when I went to Switzerland, hoping that I would need to use one on an emergency basis. So I requested BDO to issue me one. The ADO manager himself said, okay, we can issue you one, but you have to place a certain amount of money as your deposit, not deposit, as so that you
Collateral.
will have it. Well, you can call it that way without even saying it, but that's how it works. You, in effect, are going to request for a credit line that will come from your own money. And you know what happened? The amount of money that I placed with them only earned a little over 100 pesos for a 1 year period. And the amount was 55,000, and the credit line that I received was only 50,000. That's the irony of it all. It's a reality. It's happening. If it happened with me, it could happen to anybody else. I don't know if you are an exception. You may be in a better financial situation than I am, so the bank manager may not ask for a collateral in effect. But then again, that's the answer that you're looking for, Renz. Jesus wanted it abolished as early as then, but it's still prospering. The amount necessary for Ukraine to continue doing their thing comes from directly from the U.S. and allies, but it is in effect coming from the federal what do you call this federal what's the term
Federal Reserve
federal
Bank.
so the problem there is the money is supposed to have been given, but the money will be used to buy the arms and the equipment and everything that uh, Ukraine will need, and it's true for all other countries. What you get is not the dollars. You get their war materials, you get their food, you get everything, but not real money. And the money that was supposed to be earmarked for those things goes back to the government, into their own monetary system. So sorry for us, friends. That's how the world goes around. And until major change will happen,
Yeah.
even the introduction of the BRICS is still also around this idea. For all intents and purposes, we're talking still of money, even if it is backed up by gold as a reserve,
Yeah.
not Federal Reserve.
Oh,
But it's
not
still
anymore.
not anymore. BRICS is no longer gold reserve.
Oh, not yet, not yet.
Not yet, but it hit the
Yeah.
direction. The way I understood it, it will be. I
Eventually,
doubt.
yeah.
I doubt it really much.
When dollar
But
collapse.
the factor, well, that will make the dollar collapse. But the
Mm,
factor I'm talking about is everything it's got to be slapped with interest, and the interest
yeah.
over interest will really be a reality. That's
Mm.
compounding. Thank you, guys.
Just a minute. Just a second, David. Sorry. I'm trying to, myself, right? Right now, I'm trying to stay away from the system of banking. I'm trying to do that, but it's hard. But you need to. It's like you should start doing it by doing something. Because the real asset, banks hate it, like the gold or silver, banks hate it. If you watch the new interview of Tucker Carlson on how they expose the criminal activity of the bank, right now, it's so like a eye opener to everyone, that that central bank is controlled by government. It's not really controlled by government. Central bank are controlled by the bankers, the corrupt bankers. That's really, even during world wars, past world wars, how they controlled and dispossessed every country, just to put them under their thumb. So it's crazy. We should not support banking industry, to be honest, because they're the one really destroy humanity. They finance everything, finance war, finance everything, all the misery and problems in this world because of that banking system. And that banking system, that we thought it's central bank owned by government, but it's not. It's only owned by different people, the elite people.
Rothschilds for one major.
Yeah, all the JP Morgan, the
Matter of fact,
Rothschild.
Rothschilds are the ones that created the central bank
Yeah, exactly. If
back
you
in
watch that
the
interview, really, really eye-opening. Mm.
Mhm.
Shall we
Yeah.
continue?
Yeah,
Yeah.
sure. Sure.
It is therefore important for the human being who has a life of material wealth, prosperity, and abundance that, despite their material possessions, they live in distinct harmony with real life, and thereby in accord with the creational natural laws and recommendations. In this sense, the human being can collect all attainable money and goods and nevertheless live in a creational, evolutive sense and in true righteousness and virtuously. But on the other hand, absolutely all available money and goods can be snatched up in order to live as a parasite with it and without a thought concerning the conscious evolution. And in the worst sense, to put oneself first without an impulsation for one's fellow human beings. And this can actually be accomplished at least for a period of time. Yet in this way, all striving for that which is higher is lost. As this honest joy and love,
Can
inner
you lower
freedom,
the volume?
I'm trying it. Oh, sorry.
inner freedom, inner peace, and the equalized harmony of life, or all these can certainly not be built up at all. In this way, rich human beings of this kind become the poorest and in the immense mass of humanity, because their inner life, which contains the real values in it, is hollow and empty and is like a nest of noxious vermin. Thus, they pay themselves back for their misconduct, even if this is sometimes does not happen, especially quickly. But if the law of prosperity, abundance, and provision is robbed of its creational measure, then the human being had better watch out, because sooner or later it pays off in some sort of negative evil form. There is therefore nothing to object to in money and possessions, because it is completely all right to have such at one's disposal. However, only as long as the money and goods do not control the human being. If the human being lives according to their innermost creationally formed nature, and thus their money and goods in a sense which is always evolutive, then it does not only fulfill the right purpose, rather it also visibly increases and brings astonishing abundance with which much which is of use can be in turn be done and be effected. If this principle is followed, then the human being can be extremely creative, not only in material form, but also in purely personal consciousness evolutive form, as well as in a form conditioned by the fellow human beings and the environment and so forth. Thus, it can be said that money and goods become sour when they are dishonestly gotten and used, while when they are earned and used in a righteous kind and wise, they bring forth responsibility and benefit from which everyone profits. As explained at the beginning, prosperity and abundance cannot always be measured in regard to finances and other material wealth, because the actual values lie very much deeper. And indeed, the consciousness-based development of one's inner nature formed from the innermost creational nature. This corresponds to the real prosperity and abundance, which must be the human being's own. And those who achieve everything regarding this in a right and correct way protect themselves very well off their own bat, because in inner prosperity and inner abundance, there is also self-protection by means of which the human beings protect themselves from negative influences. That does not mean that one does not have to fight and that no difficulties could emerge. Yet with self-protection, the human beings are able to defend themselves against the difficulties and eliminate the influences. Negative and positive, therefore, become controlled. And since both must inevitably arise in the life of the human being, It cannot be that they only get to feel the sweet sides of existence. Rather, they must also feel the bitter sides. To overcome everything without a fight is thereby impossible. And additionally, the solution to a problem is more satisfying when one has to struggle for it. To gain things and success without a struggle brings no joy, and also usually brings no progress, because through the absence of a struggle, only things and therefore and so forth are accepted which are not connected with an evolutive effort, as in a process of thought and process of making errors and process of resolving the errors. Therefore, that which is essential, with which the entire matter is that all difficulties are consciously overcome and are led to the success. That which is important is the end result. Whoever goes through life with inner prosperity and inner abundance has much joy and is not disturbed when everything gets extremely hard from time to time, because knowledge teaches that this is very good and very necessary. Connected with that is also the conviction that with the right activation and direction of one's prosperity and abundance, a correct provision is always guaranteed. To this end, however, the human being must never think in a needy manner, because thoughts live, as do words, for which reason nobody should call themselves needy. And thoughts are might, by means of which everything is set into action. Indeed, also words are realized because they are outwardly realized thoughts, which become reality as a result of their might. Therefore, if a matter is contemplated, then patterns pertaining to that specific matter are formed. If this is then spoken about, then the word is thereby sent out, and that which has been thought is compressed. The words are thereby realized through the might of the thoughts, with which everything is formed and clothed in acoustical sounds, and therefore words. If pure ideas are therefore created and verbalized in this way, then they are brought to full expression and produce unripe results because they are not worked out into ideals, firm imaginings and intentions, and so forth. In the same way, such kinds of ideals and firm imaginings and so forth, of a kind which is an Ausartung, are manifested outwardly and in the outside world through the utterance of words, and again through the might of the thoughts. Therefore, since time immemorial, it has been said, tend a thought or utter it, and it happens. And just as it is with the thought, the word is might and command. The thoughts and words are therefore commands which the human beings create in themselves, and from which mightful attitudes and belief-based things manifest. They are to the benefit or the detriment of the human being. If the human being thinks or says with conviction that they are poor, then through the thoughts or the word, they also send out poverty. And the more one wants to demonstrate poverty, the greater is the poverty which enters the life. Such as with the miser, who everywhere complains about their poverty and their lack of means, and is thereby poor in their consciousness in terms of joy, love, peace, freedom, and harmony. Thus, the thought or word becomes the expression of the picture of the consciousness that it is to say, That is to say, the presentation of what the human being accepts or believes and what comes to fruition through the might of the thoughts and through the might of the word. Naturally, this bringing into fruition in this sense is not directed outwardly in the realm of material life. Rather, it is directed inwardly into the inner state. But in the same way, in a broader sense, it is also possible that things in the outer material realm are also indeed also set into action through the thoughts and words. It is urgently important for every human being not to think or speak in terms of some form of poorness in relation to themselves, because otherwise the danger exists that a neediness is created directly as a result of that. This relates to the inner nature and indeed to the human being's personality, as well as to the externalities and the material prosperity and so forth. Thoughts and words of poorness lead to negating and negative situations and states which can be extraordinarily hard. And even if hardship arises or some other unpleasant situation, poor, negating, and negative thoughts must never take hold in the consciousness. Rather, it must always be enlivened with positive, affirming, and rich thoughts. And exactly that is one of the most important obligations in order to progressively form oneself and to maintain one's life. Because the human being in their own self, in their own life, is the most important one to whom attention must be given. First and foremost, one's own self, one's own inner nature, one's own character, one's own morality, and one's own mood, and so forth, must be formed in a healthy, neutral, positive, equalized, kind, and wise, and be made capable of life. To form and help oneself is the foremost obligation, because only the human being who forms themselves and make themselves into a true human being and fulfill the evolutive obligation of the life does what is right in the sense of the creational natural laws and becomes capable to the same degree of also being helpful to their fellow human beings. And that concludes today's presentation. Are there any comments, questions, insights? Things that we should clarify?
Let's acknowledge Filipina and Cynthia first. Welcome, come. Filipinas.
Yeah, finally,
Wow!
finally she comes in.
Wow! Welcome!
Hello, good evening.
Yeah, thank you for coming in.
Yes.
Good evening,
Finally.
everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes. Very,
loud and-
yeah. We're honored
Because
to
last
have
time,
you here, Filipinas.
yeah, me too. Thank you.
Yeah.
Last time I also wanted to join, but I don't know what the problem was. Is that my speaker was on, but no one could hear me. So I said I better turn it off. You know, at least now you can hear me. So it's good. And I saw our topic for today. I didn't see the title, but I could see it's about it's about the what do you call this, the inner the inner energy that can be either greedy or kind. So so it was read by David Castell. Hello, David. Thank you for reading it. Yeah.
Oh, hello. Hello.
Yeah.
She is based in Perth, Australia.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah.
She's a Filipina also.
Yeah. And I only saw a part of what you were reading, David, but based on what I heard was that it is actually the polarity of things that is where man should train itself and see the swinging waves, wherein the balanced positive nature of human beings should always be observed, because sometimes what happens is that we become lost in material wealth. So when we see all this glittering nature of the material world, we are lost and forget why we are here. So the essence says that we should be practicing are put aside. So we want this, we want that, we want this, we want that, and we don't really, we just don't need them. We just want a lot of things that we don't need, like money, position, all of this stuff. And then later on, we just realize that it's not making us any happy at all. Based on my experiences, material wealth will not make you really happy. It is, I'm talking about my own experiences. You have cars, house, blah, blah, blah. But then you try to look within, it's not making you satisfied at all. So through meditation, I was able to learn by experience that we must know how to transform our energy, because we have the creative energy. If we do not know how to use it, it becomes destructive. So just like if we make fuel as an example, if fuel is impure, you cannot really use it. You cannot really use it to where it should be doing its best performance. So you gotta purify it by always observing your thoughts and feelings, because sometimes we just think about things and we just feel it, and we do not discern if what we think and what we feel are the right things to manifest. So sometimes my mood is good, sometimes my mood is bad, and my anger, let's say, for instance, I see something I don't like in a person, someone else, and then because I lack the essence of self-control, I say things that I would not think if the consequence will be the best for that event. So slowly through meditation, I try to balance things, because there should be balancing somewhere. Even the poor people, if we only look at the visible angle, like, oh, this person doesn't have a house, she lives under the bridge, and this person is very, very rich, now she has everything, blah blah blah. But if you only look at the richness of a person without looking the inner, then we will be misjudging the person. Because like in the Philippines, you see kids, they don't have sandals, they don't have beautiful clothes, they run and play in the rain, they laugh, they're happy. But you see a person with all the wealth in the world, but inside is problem, greed, problem, jealousy, all of these feelings. So how can we really know if the person is rich or not, within and without? See, by judging my own self, now I know through experience. Because when I was younger, I would like to be successful with this, successful with that. But then later on, I said, this is not what I need. I just need simple life.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. And what is the word heaven? So people think about, it's the extreme. It's the extreme of this, but it's not.
Mhm.
I know a person who was divorced. She got 5 kids. She lived alone in a caravan with 5 kids, and she
Mhm.
had to shoulder everything. And she was able to put her kids into school, and she saw them
Mhm.
getting married. And now she said that she is only by herself. She passed all the trials,
Mm.
and she was just sitting on her chair, sipping a cup of coffee, and she said, this is heaven.
Mhm.
Because if you experience, just like what David read on these passages, if you experience trials, if you experience struggle later on, if those struggles were already ripe, and their season their seasons already passed, right? You will know that just sitting here and looking at the birds singing, hearing the birds singing and looking at the flowers is already heaven.
Mhm.
Yeah, that is what simplicity is. It's not all what people think, because what people think is an illusion. You think of all this, what do you call this? A lot of things come into your mind, and you want to achieve a lot of things, but none of those things would make you really happy. So yeah, that's what I
Yeah, I
can say.
think the word is like creature comforts, They can only go
Yes.
so far. And then
Yeah.
you feel that emptiness within because you're trying to to feel in something that is uh like corporeal or material with something that is essentially a need of that creational energy or spark. And so that's why, like with me, my own experience also, like I'm so moved to happiness that it brings me to tears when I'm able to give, actually. And so my giving to others, whether, like, for example, I miss when pre-COVID, for me, it gave me the greatest joy hosting, because like in the Philippines, because we like fiestas and that joy and celebration. And for me, it was always a celebration being able to host and having my group here in my house, and then we're able to study together. And then, I love to uh, to provide, like the really good meal and stuff like that, so we could be here the whole day and have fun and learn together. For me that's heaven anyway, being able to
Yes.
learn and to share. And you're not
Yeah.
only feeding the body, but you're also feeding the mind and and the creational energy or spirit within us, so
Yes. Yes.
yeah. I see that Richie has raised his hand.
Yes, yes.
Richie.
I was
Yeah.
comprehend the topic of David Castile and the law of the boomerang effect. Just now I catch the boomerang, so I just wanted to share something to you about this law of provision. So there's this story about the businessman and the fisherman. So I am not sure, maybe some of you guys are familiar with about it. So I'm gonna read a few just a couple of minutes about this story. Okay. One day, a fisherman was lying on the beautiful beach with his fish pole propped out in the sand and his solitary line cast out into the sparkling blue surf. He was enjoying the warmth of the afternoon sun and the prospect of catching a fish. About that time, a businessman came walking down the beach, trying to relieve some of the stress of his workday. He noticed the fisherman sitting on the beach and decided to find out why this fisherman was fishing instead of working harder to make a living for himself and his family. And this businessman said, "You aren't going to catch many fish that way," said the businessman to the fisherman. You should be working you should be working rather than lying on the beach." The fisherman looked at the businessman, smiled, and replied, "And what will be my reward? What will my reward be?" "Well, you can get bigger nets and catch more fish," was the businessman's answer. "And then what will be my reward be?" asked the fisherman, still smiling. The businessman replied, "You will make money and you'll be able to buy a boat, which will then result in a larger catches of fish." "And then what will my reward be?" asked the fisherman again. The businessman was beginning to get a little irritated with the fisherman's question. "You can buy a bigger boat and hire some people to work for you," he said. "And then what will my reward be?" repeated the fisherman. The businessman was getting angry. "Don't you understand? You can build up a fleet of fishing boats, sail all over the world, and let your employees catch fish for you." Once again, the fisherman asked, "And then what will my reward be?" The businessman was red with rage and shouted at the fisherman, "Don't you understand that you can become so rich that you will never have to work for your living again? You can spend all the rest of your day sitting on this beach, looking at the sunset. You won't have to care in the world." The fisherman, still smiling, looked up and said, "And what do you think I am doing right now?" So if we go back to the law of provision, the nature already has provided us the things that we need in the material sense in a balanced way, so we can nourish our body, and at the same time, when we're nourishing our body, we can develop our wisdom, our knowledge to understand the workings and the mechanism or the mysteries of this world. However, what went wrong along the way about this provision? Uh, as from the contact reports says that for the planet size like Earth, the normal carrying capacity of this planet should be around approximately 500 million population, so that there will be a balance from the flora and fauna, that this other insects and species, they can also do their thing to evolve, and us human being, we can also do our thing to prosper and evolve without overlapping each other. So what happened along the way, when the religion came, this other beings from other distant stars, they came here on earth and tried to subjugate us, and they tried to make territories among themselves. They steal upon the earth human, the capacity to think logically. So we lost the touch to be with nature. So what did this travelers did? So one of their false teaching is they brought this religion and they said, "You go forth and multiply." So with this kind of a thinking, from 500 carrying capacity, now we are reaching in the billions. So now the law of provision of nature that was endowed upon the human being, it was now destroyed. So now we are competing against each other, gathering as much as we can for, let's say, survival, or you can name it like survival or prestige. So this religion has still upon the human being the capacity to think that instead of logically observing the nature as or one of what of you guys had spoken before, the beauty of nature, the simplicity that you can see, the butterflies like that, it was stolen upon us, and it instilled upon the human being the faith-based thinking. Don't think about it. This is the religion. Just follow it with your faith. So now we are in the trouble that this law of provision is not anymore followed. So we are now suffering the consequences of the things that happened. So it's very sad because instead we can focus, as what Renz was saying, to study the creational energy teaching. We are also juggling things for our material well-being. Some of us just barely surviving. Some of us uh, maybe are lucky that with a set of a good environment, we still manage to to balance the things. So that's my part of observation that I see about this law of provision. And another thing is from the last part, David Castro was saying, uh, some of the Filipino culture, we are tend to curse ourselves. Like if you are born poor and you have a limited capacity, you will say to yourself, this is what I was born to. This is the environment that I was introduced with, and there's nothing I can do. So this is my fate. This is my destiny. So it is said here in the lower, maybe last part of the paragraph, that you should not curse yourself, because it's a form of thought. Thoughts are very powerful. It can traverse space and time. So when the boomerang effect will come back to you, so what you throw out in the space, it will turn back maybe a thousand times more. Then you'll just be digging yourself down. So instead of understanding the situation and try to uh, uh, look the positive side of it, so that you can rise above it. Some of us, our Filipino brothers and sisters, they have this mentality of cursing themselves. So they're stuck in that cycle, and what they do is they just blame themselves for everything. So this might of the thoughts is trying to guide us that, okay, you're there, you're born there, but it's not your mistake. Uh, but if you choose to die like a poor, then it's your choice, then it's your mistake. So for every situation, there's always an opportunity to see the brighter side of it. So some of the examples that we can see in our brothers and sisters, some of the successful people, some of them are from the poor. So they don't limit themselves. They don't blame themselves. They are there. Yes, they were there, but they managed to get out of it. They turned the things around. Some of them reflected the things, what's happening around them. They don't see themselves as a victim, but they see themselves as an opportunity to learn lessons that are popping up in our environment. Like if they're in the squattered area or depressed area, they will study why am I here? Why this place is so depressed? So what are the things that I can do? What are the resources in my limited capacity? How can I use this to my advantage and make myself a fruitful citizen? So that's it. That's how this Might of the Thoughts was trying to teach us. Okay, that's all. Thank you.
Thanks, Richie. Helen,
you.
you hand up?
It's already time, but I will make it very short. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Everyone is asking that when you win a lotto, what are you going to do? So and somebody asked me, "Oh, what are you going to do when you win a lotto?" And I said, I already have a list of what I'm going to do. It's not a problem to me. And really, the truth is, I have a list of my dreams in my life that just because I am a leader in the past, I need really money to support my members to go on a mission because we are on a mission. We have projects, we have seminars and all that. And being a leader, you have a problem of how you can make this happen because money is needed on that. But as time goes by, I was able to. It happened. All the things that on my list happened, and I didn't win a lotto until now. I have accomplished, and some of the things in my list happened, and I won't ask for more because it really happened. And I started from a poor lady, no job, no investment, no savings, and I do not know how it happened that all the things that I want to happen in terms of financial really happen. I do not know. So that is now I realize that might of thoughts is important. Yeah. It's not maybe not prayer, but your might of thoughts, really. If you had it in your mind and you have that saying it always that I used to say in the platform that if you are spiritually rich, material richness will follow. And that I used to inspire people who's listening in the audience that be what you call it ano nga yung kasabihan na yung God says that I will do serve me and I will take care of everything. Yun, ganon. Parang noon. So, it might be a belief, uh, but it happens. Really, it happens. But the perspective now that it doesn't came from belief and prayer, but it came from my top thoughts. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Ate.
I see June's hand up too. Reynaldo? Yeah.
Thank you, Cynthia. 2 minutes. The first set of sorry people that I come to know the moment I started reading the Holy Scripture was the man with net riding a boat that always failed to catch fish. And it took a certain individual by the name of Jesus to tell them that they should cast their net on the other side of the boat. To me, this parable was not meant to be understood then, and it is not still understandable for many now. it's a good thing we have heard several words coming from the supposedly the seventh and last prophet, whose name is Billy Edward Albert Mayer, with his book, The Might of Thought, who is telling us that the other side of the boat where the net should be cast is not talking about anything material, but rather something that will make our creational side of things to prosper. Because what we have been doing on the other side of the boat was always a sorry state. I would like to firm up that this is the message of the various words that Billy has said, that David has allowed us to hear. I don't know if you agree with this, but this is how I get it. Shun away about everything, anything about material. Focus on oneself. Never mind all others around you. Make your treasure get counted not in terms of dollars and cents, but rather with the essences of wisdom. That we, that each and every one of us will be able to gather the moment we learn from our own mistakes. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, June.
Thank you, Dan.
Well, I guess we're just about at time to call it an evening. I have a question for everyone. This seems to be a pretty good format, and it's rolling along pretty good. I can either next month I can continue on page 3, what is it, 323, I think it is. I can continue on with this, or I had one other thought, which is when I looked at the last contact report, Billy had put the 12 recommendations with commentary, and I was thinking of maybe doing for my next presentation, before I continue onward with this, doing the 12 recommendations with Billy's commentary for a presentation next month. But it doesn't matter to me. I'm not attached either way. I can continue on with this, or we could do that. It's I just thought I'd put it out there and see what everyone thought.
Mhm. Yeah, what contact report is that?
313.
Oh, 313. Okay. If you feel comfortable and you have the love to discuss it, then you go.
Okay,
Yeah.
it's
For
all,
me, I don't know with
up
the
to
other.
you. I'm here for you, and if you would rather go with what I'm doing right now and not take a break, then that's fine too. But it looked like it was pretty substantial, and Billy's commentaries were the things that I thought were really valuable, because I mean the recommendations are all available to all of us through the Dodecalogue, but his commentaries and that I thought would stimulate conversation, and perhaps we could get a really good a meeting out of that. So if it's all right with you, that's what I'll probably do.
Yeah, you should go with
Okay.
your
David?
impulsations, because what's beautiful about this group, we discuss anything anyway, no matter what. So you should do something that also fulfills your needs.
Yeah.
And then by doing so, we all together, we love to, um and we digest whatever is presented and have our own experiences that we could all share. So it's always like a fiesta, of thoughts and things, and so we love anything anyway. So that's good. Thank you so much, David.
Okay.
Yeah,
Wow.
and thank you,
So for all
Filipinas,
those
for
for all
coming.
those who are interested, there is an audio format that I have shared with Malaya and all other chat groups. You can either refer to the text or the audio format about the explanation on the 12 commandments. It's for you to take. Thank you very much.
Yeah, Filipinas, I hope you
Thank
can join us
you.
because
Thank you.
we meet on Wednesday also, and also on Saturday, same time, you know. And I hope you could join us because we could learn so much from you, and I'm so glad that you were able to make it this time. And I'm sorry I was late, but my phone died. So anyway, Zor, thank you, Zor, for I just happened to see your message, and I'm glad I was able to join even for the latter part, and it was very fruitful just the same. And I love you all. I hope we'll meet together again tomorrow. Renz, we're talking about fluidal forces, and that's so interesting, Filipinas. So I hope you can really join us too. Who's Figu Taiwan? Who is that? Is
It
that
might
someone
be
new? I don't.
Way. It might be Way.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay.
Okay, thank you, David,
Okay.
again. Endless
Yes.
thanks.
I will see you next month, and everyone take care and have a wonderful month, and we'll see what happens next month. Hopefully we'll come up with a really nice presentation.
Okay.
Okay,
Salome.
great. Yeah.
A birthday.
Salamat po.
Birthday gift.
Bye-bye. Salome.
Yeah.
night,
See you
everyone.
all
Thank you.
Good
tomorrow.
night, Salome. Bye-bye.
Salome.
Salome, see you all
Bye.
tomorrow.
Salome.
Okay.
Thank you again,
Bye-bye.
Filipinas. Thank you.
Thank you to
Thank you,
all.
Filipinas.